Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Now this is the PowerColor HD 3450 graphics card. It cost me £3, equivalent to €3 or $4. I got it from CEX here in the UK. Quick word about them actually, they've stopped trading in the US, so I'll be looking out for some great alternatives for you guys over in the States. Now although CEX sometimes have cards for less, this was the cheapest in stock at the time of purchase. It arrived very well packaged, even if it was in a bit of a state, and despite the higher cost, it's a ton worse on paper than my $1.50 graphics card I reviewed a while back. But even so, we're going to be seeing what it can do in games, something it was never really good at even when new. With a launch price of $49 back in January 2008, this 256MB 3450 is passively cooled, meaning any overclocking attempt is immediately out of the window. It also features 40 shader units, a 600MHz core clock, as well as a 25W TDP, meaning it should even run problem-free on all of those 250W OEM power supplies out there. This card also supports AMD's hybrid graphics feature, allowing it to work simultaneously with certain integrated graphics chipsets, something I can't imagine made much difference, but a feature I'll test out in the future nonetheless. But let's get into it and see what this thing can do, and for that, we must first visit Africa with Far Cry 2. Marvel at the 480p glory of the sun-baked towns and settlements. Perhaps take your car out for a drive along the pixelated dirt roads before going for a swim, to cool off under the hot savannah heat. Yes, with the HD 3450, all of this is still possible at low DirectX 9 settings with 15fps on average, but don't let that low frame rate stop you from admiring the nature of this vast and epic playground, and most importantly, don't forget to make friends with the locals. Okay, so this game isn't really all that playable, but it didn't stop me from having fun, as you can tell. Next, we take a journey to a remote island inhabited by hostiles. This is Crysis. Just like with Far Cry 2, not even the lowest in-game settings can help out this graphics card, but that didn't stop me from admiring the vast tropical landscapes, taking a walk along the beach, or even going for a swim in the inviting island waters. As the action heats up, you'll find the frame rate takes a dive, though the only time I really saw playable FPS was when I stared down at my chicken here. Though if you try and play the entirety of the game like this, you'll surely run afoul of the many soldiers. Over on the west coast with San Andreas now, and you certainly don't need full HD resolution to be a gangster. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the frame rate counter to work in every game today, nor MSI afterburner statistics, but as you can imagine, the GPU was running at 100% usage all of the time. With the low settings here, 53 frames per second was the average, with no real dips or stutters to speak of. The 3450 will probably be okay with most games from the first half of last decade. In Mirror's Edge, we spent most of the time over the edge as the low frame rate caused significant input lag, with the settings at their lowest. With anywhere from 1 to 10 frames per second, this title was a bit of a pain to run, and I can't see myself or anyone else having a decent experience here. So let's move on. Before checking out another game that will run well on an old card like this, I just had to see how Assassin's Creed performed, as I recently repurchased this classic to start an entire series playthrough. I can never quite grip the story when I was younger, and it seems Altair couldn't grip the buildings here either, as once again the low frame rate caused control issues. I was as impressed with the performance as this lady here, who I think looks unimpressed, though it's hard to tell with these graphics. But let's round things off with another playable title, The Elder Scrolls Morrowind. A lot of the cheap cards like this one that end up selling for pennies on eBay may seem like they're fit for the bin, but if you have an older system and just want a quick and super cheap easy upgrade, or just an old card to mess around with, then something like this might do you just fine. I wouldn't recommend paying more than what I did for one, and it certainly doesn't outperform last year's $1.50 2600 XT, but it's been fun playing around with it anyway, as always. So there we have it, this was the cheapest card I could find at CEX. Guys, as always, thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked it, leave a like on it. Leave a dislike on it if you didn't. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and hopefully I'll see all of you in the next video.